I appreciate that all politicians lie. It just seems that capital D Democrats are incapable of telling the truth. Viva Fry, former Montreal litigator turned current Florida rumbler, and I'd rather be fishing, but in a way I'd clearly rather be doing this than fishing, because I could be fishing. I was on my way out the door to go fishing, and I came across a video, and I'm like, holy crap, I need to look into this, and I need to do a vlog. I came across a tweet from one Representative Jim McGovern, who I didn't know before reading this tweet, and it said that the Republicans just banned him from speaking on the House floor for the day. And I'm like, that's not cool. Why did this happen? And I look into it, and lo and behold, it turns out he's a Democrat, and lo and behold, it turns out he's a liar. Rep. Jim McGovern, at Rep. McGovern. Republicans just banned me from speaking on the House floor for the rest of the day because I listed Trump's trials. I didn't say he was guilty, I just stated the fact that they exist. And for that, I was silenced. Apparently, Republicans are allowed to say that Trump's trial is a sham and the judge is corrupt and the jury is rigged. But it's against the rules for me to even acknowledge that the trials exist. So I read this tweet and I say, that doesn't sound fair. What's going on here? Did he talk about the trial and he was banned from speaking about it on the House floor? I go watch the video and yeah, I was lied to in that tweet and I had to call him out. I will break down the insanity and rubbish of that impugned statement in a second, but for now I'm just going to play it through in its entirety so you can appreciate what was said on the House floor and what that guy claimed happened in his tweet.
We have a presumptive nominee for president facing 88 felony counts, and we're being prevented from even acknowledging it. These are not alternative facts. These are real facts. A candidate for president of the United States is on trial for sending a hush money payment to a porn star to avoid a sex scandal during his 2016 campaign, and then fraudulently disguising those payments in violation of the law. He's also charged with conspiring to overturn the election. He's also charged with stealing classified information, and a jury has already found him liable for rape in a civil court. And yet, in this Republican-controlled House, it's okay to talk about the trial, but you have to call it a sham.
You take down his words.
It's okay to say the jury is rigged.
Mr. Speaker, I demand that his words be taken down.
It's okay to say the court is corrupt.
Gentleman will suspend.
But not Trump is corrupting the rule of law.
Now, if you go back and listen to that statement closely, you'll be able to pinpoint the specific lie in that statement. A lie, a bold-faced, inaccurate lie, and I will steelman the rebuttal to my claim that it's a lie. But if you listen carefully, you might know exactly where the lie was. The lie in that statement, as compared to what that guy said happened in his tweet, Representative Jim McGovern, and let's just check out his bio. Rep. Jim McGovern, at Rep. McGovern, Lisa's husband, Patrick and Molly's dad, serving hashtag Massachusetts District 2, I guess, and working to hashtag End Hunger Now, top Dem on at Rules Democrats. Co-chair at TL Human Rights, member of at CECC Gov, he, him. Well, thank you very much for the clarification, semi-balding Jim. I was really confused as to whether or not you were a she, her. But my goodness, I didn't even know Jim was a Democrat when I read that tweet. I read that tweet, thought something unfair happened, found out it was a lie, go check out his profile, and he happens to be a capital D Democrat. A capital D Democrat, he, him, if you were confused. Now, before we go through that statement and dissect it and analyze it element by element and tear he, him, Jim McGovern a new one, it might be useful to know exactly what they were debating on the House floor. There were 3 bills on the floor today. And by the way, none of them had anything to do with Donald Trump.
If you were to listen to my friend on the other side, you'd think that these bills are going to change the world the second the ink dries. But they're not. This is just another week of wasted time. More of the same from the Republican leadership here in Congress that is completely out of touch with what the American people actually care about. H.R. 192 is another GOP attempt to meddle in D.C. politics. We are also here to consider H.R. 4763, a bill that provides an upper hand to the crypto industry instead of meaningfully addressing gaps in digital asset regulation. And finally, we will meet on H.R. 5403, a bill that prevents the U.S. from exploring digital currency.
You had H.R. 192 to prohibit individuals who are not citizens of the United States from voting in elections in the District of Columbia. And then you had 2 other resolutions which pertain to cryptocurrencies. We don't need to get into it for the sake of this video, but just to say nothing of the 3 bills that were being debated had anything to do with Trump, the trial, or that lie that he was found liable for rape by a civil court.
We have a presumptive nominee for president facing 88 felony counts, and we're being prevented from even acknowledging it. These are not alternative facts. These are real facts.
You are there to debate 3 bills, one dealing with prohibiting illegals from voting in DC, and 2 bills that relate to cryptocurrency, none of which have to do with Trump's indictment. And you got the talking heads running with that 88 felony charge indictment rubbish talking points that they need so badly because they need to push that propaganda instead of doing anything useful.
A candidate for President of the United States is on trial for sending a hush money payment to a porn star to avoid a sex scandal during his 2016 campaign, and then fraudulently disguising those payments in violation of the law.
Yes, it's a fact that you have a political persecution against a former president and leading presidential candidate. However, it's not a fact that we even know what the crime that's being charged in that bullcrap prosecution is because the prosecution hasn't even stated it yet.
If they're arguing that this is a falsification of documents and they want to bump it up to a felony, what's the underlying crime here? What is that rule?
I'm assuming it's New York election law, conspiracy to promote an election by unlawful means.
And the judge.
How come we don't know that at this point?
Well, Josh Steinglass said that earlier, not in front of the jury, and this was like a week ago. So I don't know why it wasn't said in opening statements. You typically, in an opening statement, you tell them what the charges are and what you intend to prove. You don't say at the end, surprise, this is it. But I think that's going to be it, the New York election fraud violation.
So yeah, thanks for filling in the blanks, McGovern. Blanks that the prosecution themselves didn't specify to the jury when this trial initially started. But whatever, we're going to move on to the next element.
He's also charged with conspiring to overturn the election.
He's also charged with conspiring to overturn the election. Oh my goodness, they got another talking point that they can repeat ad nauseum, even though he hasn't stood trial for that, even though that persecution is just as much of a rubbish political persecution as the Alvin Bragg persecution out of New York. But it's amazing. Charge people, run them through the ringer so that you can run and repeat the accusations as though the accusations themselves are some form of evidence of guilt. This is what they do best. The process is the punishment. The power lies in the accusation.
He's also charged with stealing classified information.
Trump has been charged with stealing classified information. No, he hasn't. That's a lie. Now, to steelman it, he might have been charged with willful retention of classified information. He might have been charged or accused of mishandling classified information, but he hasn't been charged with stealing it. So if you want to say something, just say what is accurate and true. Do not hyperbolize it. Do not turn it into a lie and then claim you're being sanctioned for stating facts when you are in fact lying. But wait, we're getting to the biggest, baddest, and bestest of the lies.
And a jury has already found him liable for rape in a civil court.
And a jury has already found him liable for rape in a civil court is an outright, bold-faced, deserving of sanction lie. Now, you might argue that it's not much better that he was found liable for sexual abuse because he was, but it is a bold-faced, straight-up lie that goes against the actual jury verdict to say that he was found liable of rape in a civil court. But if you don't believe me, just look at the bloody verdict form. United States District Court, Southern District of New York, E. Jean Carroll plaintiff against Donald J. Trump, defendant. Verdict form, battery. Did Mr. Carroll prove by a preponderance of the evidence that 1, Mr. Trump raped Ms. Carroll? And look right there. No. 2, Mr. Trump sexually abused Ms. Carroll. And there you have your yes. Now, you may argue that it's a distinction without a difference. He was found liable of sexual abuse, but not of raping Miss Carroll. All right, if you think it's a distinction without a difference, stop making the distinction and just say what he was found liable of. That way we can have an honest discussion as to whether or not that entire trial was a load of crap as well. And yes, I'm also aware that corrupt Judge Kaplan did wicked mental gymnastics to circumvent the actual jury verdict form and say in one of his rulings in that court that, yeah, it's basically like rape because the New York state law is a little more stringent. And although we don't know what he did to E. Jean Carroll, he did something that qualifies as rape in the colloquial sense. I understand Judge Kaplan did that as well, but don't lie. Tell the truth and say, yes, he was found liable for sexual abuse in a bullshit persecution of a trial. But it is a bold-faced lie to say that he was already found liable by a court of rape. It's a bold-faced lie and it deserves a sanction. It's equally a lie to say he was found guilty of rape because guilty is criminal, liable is civil. The burden of proof is far different. One is beyond a reasonable doubt. The other is preponderance of the evidence, which apparently you can meet if the jury pool is sufficiently politically prejudiced as it is in the Southern District of New York. But just tell the truth. He was found liable by a jury for sexual abuse. And then we could say, yeah, and it's a load of crap. That entire trial was a load of political persecution crap based on a recently changed law that E. Jean Carroll had a hand in passing, and that she found a politically prejudiced jury that believed the story, the imaginations, the hallucinations, 25-year-old hallucinations of a crazy lady who couldn't prove her case in any criminal court. And they were just fortunate enough to find a politically prejudiced jury pool in New York to find Trump liable on the less stringent rules of evidence in civil trials. But you see how it works. You see how the wholesale desecration of one of the most sacred elements of a civil society. The judicial system has been corrupted by these liars who will stop at nothing to defame their leading political rival, to bankrupt their leading political rival, and to put their leading political rival in jail. And as we've seen now from the revelations coming out of the Mar-a-Lago document raid, they will stop at nothing to create a situation that might result in bloodshed. They don't care. Anything to win. The ends justify the means, because these people are not interested in truth or justice. They are only interested in political victories. Hence, they accuse their adversaries of everything that they are doing themselves. So that's it. If you like what I do, you know what to do. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe. Make sure your notifications are turned on. Viva Fry across the interwebs. The Viva Fry on Twitter. VivaBarnesLaw.locals.com for the most above average law community out there. More important than anything, exercise, sunlight. Get out there and, be healthy. Talk to people in real life. And now I'm going to go fishing. Peace out, peeps.